Boondocking etiquette. Well, boondocking is really another word for dry camping. You're out on land that is free. It's called free camping also, where there are no resources. There's no toilets, water hookups, electrical hookups. It's just raw land, and you're out there, and you're permitted or not permitted to camp with your whatever rig, RV that you have. Now, etiquette are rules and guidelines that are laid down by society or authority on ways of behavior, acceptable ways of behavior. So we got boondocking etiquette. Now, tomorrow I'm going to talk about urban camping etiquette, and that's a whole nother animal. That's a horse of a different color. So I'll be talking about that, but for today, it's going to be boondocking. And I made you coffee. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Cheers. A little backdrop here. A little backstory. Stayed up really late last night. Oh my gosh. A lot later than I normally do, so I didn't get as much. And then what happens for me, I get up at that kind of basically the same time. So this morning I was a little bit shaky on my feet, just not getting enough sleep. And that's really a big deal for your body. So what I did was this afternoon I took a long nap. A long nap. That's unusual for me. So I almost feel like it's morning. And I'm chatty. But I did, my subject for today was boondocking etiquette, and it's perfect. Then I'm just going to stay in here. I had all of my curtains closed, and I put on a movie, and I could listen to it in the background. I did nap for like 2 hours, which is kind of long for me. Well, the number one, let me see. I don't think I need this slide. There we go. That's better. The number one etiquette for boondocking is don't park too close to another person, and you don't want them parking too close to you. I looked online and I looked for what were people talking about etiquette, boondocking etiquette. So I kind of got a gist of what was the most talked about and concerned aspect of boondocking etiquette, and really number one was people parking too close to them. So, you know, here's my stipulation on parking too close. It really depends on the person. If it's another solo gal, I mean, I've boondocked quite a bit. You think, oh, she's always in the city. No, I've boondocked quite a bit. And most of my boondocking really was alone, solar. Yes, I do have solar. Was solo. And so, yeah, there were concerning aspects. Some of this is going to come from my perspective as a solo female out there. But I really didn't mind if another gal kind of parked sort of close to me. I didn't mind it at all. We're two gals. And if she was in a smaller rig. But what I found disconcerting was when a bigger rig pulls and they pull in too close. What happens is you're out boondocking. You're out there because you want the scenery. You want to be out there in the wild. And then somebody parks kind of close with a big rig, and they're tall, and they totally block, your mountain scene, things like that. That's what I didn't like, yeah. So it really depends on who these people are. Now, if there was a group of people and they parked close, and I sensed that they were going to be noisy, no, I didn't like that. See, there's differences on who is going to park close to me. That's my feeling. You might be totally different. You want to be out there alone. You go out 7 miles out and you want to be alone. So somebody coming and parking within like 100 feet of you, you're not going to be happy about that. And I totally understand that. What is so great about our world and our lives is that we're all different. And we all have different needs. I mean, we're kind of basically the same, but there's all these little individual unique needs that we have. So you can't just put a nomad in a box. But I do know that people do complain, nomads, about people that are parking way too close. So I have heard that like 150 feet is a good rule of thumb, or a quarter of a mile. But I will mention, oh my gosh, in Quartzsite, in about 3 weeks, you're not going to be getting that distance between people. You're not. You're going to be getting big rigs mixed in with little people, with little minivans or SUVs or even sedans, tents even. I think the worst I heard about, and it was confirmed by a few people, they said they saw it, is there was a guy with a tent. He just had a car and he had a tent up. And when he woke up, there were a bunch of, I think they were fifth wheels, had pulled in. He must have slept through it, but they pulled in around him. They were close. They could have run over him. I'm sure they saw him, but yeah, it was like, oh my God, he had to move. So in Quartzsite, it can get a little crazy. Oh yeah. And eagles are going to fly. My experience from last year was, yeah, a whole lot of eagles out there. And there is a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but I've been asked to talk about this, and I'm a little shy about it but I know it's there. There is a class system going on with travelers. There just is. And the smaller ones do get looked down upon by the bigger ones. It's true. I'm going to say it. It's just true. But you know what? It's kind of human nature, isn't it? I mean, I'm not going to look down on it and go, oh, you know, it's human nature. We're all human. So, but that's one of the reasons I think that I'm a little turned off by Quartzsite in the winter now as a meetup. I'm going to do the meetup this year. Now, next year, I'm not so sure, you know, the following, when it gets to be 2024, I'm not so sure if I want to do that in Quartzsite. A lot of you have been mentioning, hey, we need to get one in Florida. There's a lot of people on the East Coast that they go down to Florida. So, and that's you, Felicity. And that's you, Deb. You're down there in Florida now. Shout out. Love you. Love you, Felicity. Yeah. Okay, so parking too close. You don't want to park too close. You want to have your freedom to be alone if you're out boondocking, and it isn't, let's just say it's not a situation where it's Quartzsite, where there's like 250,000 travelers going to descend on a small city. But you, not only that, but you want to feel safe, and you want to feel the comfort of being in your isolation. Now, there's two different ways to look at this. I heard on one person say, well, they felt that these two gals had parked really close, but they sensed that they were there because it made them feel safer. I don't know how they deduced that, but that's what they said. But then I heard the other side of the coin where somebody had mentioned, look, I'm out here boondocking. If they park close because they don't feel safe, they need to go back into the city, because I'm not here to make anybody feel safe. So, you know, there's that going on. You figure out what's good for you. If you need to move and somebody parks too close, I guess you just have to move. Hey, another biggie, and we're finding more and more of this because there's more and more people living in the rigs right now because of homelessness. And there's people that can't afford rent. So we're seeing more and more people out and about that are boondocking. And so a lot of us seasoned nomads are seeing a lot of boondocking etiquette being thrown out the window because a lot of them don't know. So I hope that, you know, we can help the newer people coming in. Well, is leaving trash around. They're leaving trash. That includes everything. That even includes tents and tarps, just leaving behind tents and tarps because maybe they were wet and they're dirty and you don't want to pack it in. You need to pack it in and you need to pack it out. That includes food scraps, and that includes dog poop. Yes, cleaning up after your dog. And a lot of people think, well, the coyotes are out, like in Quartzsite, they're out there. It's totally different. That's called scat, and you can tell the difference than regular dog poop. Dog poop really is very similar to human poop because they're eating foods that have a lot of preservatives in them, and those preservatives it's very unhealthy. Scat is totally different because they're out in the wild and they're eating things like mice, and it's all very natural. Dog food is not most dog food is not a natural thing. And a lot of dogs now eat regular human food. So please, you wouldn't just poop and just leave it out there. But if you would be inclined to poop and leave it out there, please don't do that. No, don't. You got to dig a hole. You had a big hole. And animals will dig up. If you put the toilet paper in there, they will dig up the toilet paper and it'll go all over the place. So you have to pack in, or I should say you have to pack out your toilet paper too. If you're going to use the trowel and dig a hole, poop in it, and then leave. So, I mean, if you're out boondocking, come on. I mean, you got plastic bags, right? Yeah, just put it in a plastic bag, then you can take it out. In Quartzsite, there's a great refuse station. And it's in between Plumosa and Quartzsite. The Plumosa BLM. It's so close. It's crazy how close it is. You know, another place, I hate to put this out there, but there is another place in town that sometimes I go to. It's behind McDonald's. They have a whole slew of garbage, big bins, garbage. What are they called? They're metal. They're huge. I can't think of the word right now. I just kind of woke up from a nap. But yeah, and they're not locked. So, you know, you can take your garbage and put it in there too. Of course, now that I say that, they might start locking them up. Who knows? But pack it out. Just pack it out. Everything. In fact, here's what I suggest is you walk around. If you see people leaving an area, on your walking, as you're out walking, most of us out there walking, go ahead and go over there. Take a little baggie with you, and if they left anything, sometimes you can leave it even better than what it was before. So that's really a good plan for everybody. But I am seeing out boondocking, especially the last time I was out there, that yeah, there can be trash left out there. That's not a good thing. Although in Plumosa, I mean, it's a pretty good deal. I haven't been to some of the other ones like Scad and Wash, but I know in Plumosa, it's a pretty clean deal out there. Next is overstaying your welcome. Staying longer than what you should out on BLM and any federal land. The rule of thumb, I mean, they say they're all different, but I'm going to tell you this. I've never seen anything different than a 14-day stay. I think 14 days is long enough for us all to get out there and have fun and then pack it out and leave. Because the longer you stay and the rangers see that people are just not moving anymore because we have so many more homeless, they're going to start cracking down on everybody and making it harder and harder for us all. So, and you know what? I'm guilty of it. Well, last year, I was there a couple months. Well, my van was going to break down, and I had my tent up, and I wanted to get there early for the meetup. I didn't know how that would go, so I'm guilty of it. But no more. I'm going to really follow it, and I know that for camping, now this isn't camping. I'm talking about boondocking. I'm not talking about actual camping where you pay for a campsite. But, I mean, if I'm out camping, they have limits, and I have to abide by them. So why would it be any different, you know, on federal land dry camping? Stay the 14 days. This is something that a lot of people are talking about. Because if you listen to real seasoned nomads, they'll say, oh, yeah, I used to stay the 14 days, but they never check. Well, if more and more people are going to be doing that, so I'm really going to push for that and to say I'm guilty of it, but no more. Well, as far as etiquette goes, one of my personal pet peeves is trampling vegetation. I mean, these are wild areas, and there's so many ways that I've seen people just trample vegetation. I know when I was boondocking out with Max outside of Flagstaff, I mean, I guess it was allowed, but it just seemed like, wow, people were coming out with their ATVs and their motorcycles. There were kids on motorcycles, and they were just swarming around, creating dust, going over all the fauna, or the flora, going over the flora, and creating the big dust. I see it on Quartzsite too. I think it's a good idea to respect the flora and not just trample everything down. Otherwise, it's going to be nothing. And that's one of the problems I see, that I don't like to stay in the LTVAs, because there's hardly any vegetation left out there. There's so many people. The only thing when you're in a desert, after all the flora is gone, what do you have left? You got dust. That's what you've got. So another thing too is when you're out there, unless they say that you can, do not collect wood, wild wood out there, for campfire. Don't do it. What they want you to do for Arizona, what they need is for all of that wood to just decompose and feed the ground and feed the land. You can't, if you just go along and strip everything, yeah, it's not good. Of course, you can't be out boondocking without a campfire, and we have to respect those campfires. We have to be responsible with those campfires. Try to use the fire pits that are there already. If you get in a place and there is none, yes, you can move rocks around and make a new one. But that's out in Quartzsite. Let's say that you're out on federal land and you're in a forest. You don't want to just go off in an area in a camp and create a whole new campsite. We need to let the rangers and the authorities make the campsites. They might be trying to conserve some of the land so that people aren't going to just, start fires and pull their cars in. But I have seen, I know I want to talk about campfires, but this brought to my mind, the last couple years that I've been on Quartzsite, I've noticed on Plamosa Road that you go on, when you're going down Plamosa Road, if you're going to use the right side, there's only like 3 levels, and then it's totally wild land. But the other side, if you're going to park on the left side going towards Bows, oh yeah, it goes on and on and on. But there are markers that say you cannot, this is only for day use beyond this marker. There's all kinds of people just out there parked for day after day after day after day after day. I am going to guess that some of the reason that they don't want them out there is for the coyotes and the wildlife. When winter hits and everybody starts descending on BLM land out there, the coyotes have to go. And they have to, they've got dens for the babies and things like that. So they go off and make their own. But if we keep going and going, they have to just keep going and going. It's upsetting for a lot of the wildlife. Well, back to camp. But I have noticed, if I'm going to go on the right side, there's an area and it's all, it's real raw land. I don't know how many times I've seen cars. They just pull in, not big rigs, but, like minivans or vans, Econoline vans, and they're like way in there. That's a no-no. What they're doing is they're trampling the flora, and they're bothering the wildlife that is being preserved out there. There's a definite marker where they allow us to be. So let's get back to campfires. Try not to make too many new campfires. But, if you're parked, go ahead and make one and get some rocks and collect rocks and maybe make a nice pit. But you have to watch that pit. You have to watch that fire. Do not just leave a fire unattended. And if you're leaving for good, make sure that it is completely out. And don't go around collecting wood when you're out in Quartzsite or anywhere if you know you're not supposed to. It's just going to end up, this person's going to do it, you're going to do it, they're going to do it, and pretty soon we've got strip land. Now, as far as animals go, in particular, the canines, the dogs, boondocking etiquette. No, you do not have to have your dog on a leash. That's not a rule. But it does say that you have to be in control of your dog. One of the big pet peeves of non-dog owners is dogs jumping up on you and running up to you barking. It's disturbing for people who have had bad experiences with dogs. And I know a few where they just it's almost like, after a while, it's like PTSD. You've had a bad experience with a dog. You see this big dog coming at you barking, and there's no owner around in sight. And it's happened to me. I've talked about it. I'm not going to go into my, my episodes, but it was scary. And I was a little shaky after that. And I left Quartzsite a couple years ago. I left the whole BLM area because I was just like this. Like, if there was one more dog that was going to run up to me and bark at me, this was right before the big rush coming in. So, and I know I've got a couple of friends that are like, even with Abby, sometimes Abby will get so excited because she's on a cable and she'll get excited and barking. And I know that it can be upsetting sometimes for a couple of our friends that they don't own a dog, they wouldn't own a dog, and that's their right. Not everybody is a dog lover. Not everybody is. I'm a dog lover. It's not like, oh, I must get a dog, but I don't hate dogs. But I've had bad experiences with dogs in the past, yes, because I rode my bike a lot in town in Tucson, and they love to chase people on bikes, and there's a lot of pit bulls in Tucson, a lot. So without going into too much detail, please be in control of your animal out there. It's boondocking etiquette. If you have just this really friendly dog that never, ever, ever, and it's of a good breed, perfect. I don't trust pit bulls, though. I might get a lot on this one. But I remember, it wasn't that long ago, this family pit bull killed 2 small children, and the mother is still in the hospital, totally just maimed. It wanted to kill her too. So never had a problem with that dog before. I don't trust pit bulls. I had an experience out here watching a pit bull. I don't trust them. Personally, I'm afraid of them. I just am. And so, yeah, please be in control of your animals. Well, I hope that this helped with boondocking etiquette. Tomorrow, I want to talk about urban camping etiquette because there's a whole lot of urban camping going on. And I'll talk about places where people can urban camp and how we can address some of this. So, till tomorrow, please go on minivanlee.com. I've got exercise videos for sale, not expensive. I've got the book on Amazon, How to Live in a Minivan. And I've got neck gaiters, although I've got my Grand Canyon on today. And I've got the neck gaiters. I've got glasses, the big sunglasses. I've got those for sale. And I still have one shemagh. So there you go. I love you guys so much. Love you. Till tomorrow.